Mr. Smith.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the King and Me show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
And we are live, lickety lizard, despite me having had surgery like 3 days ago,
Oh,
4 days ago, or as she just said, 4 days. Really? It was 4 days ago?
it was Friday.
Sunday, Saturday, Friday, 3 days ago. If today's Monday.
But you count the fact that you had it at 8 a.m. on Friday morning, and we've gone through 1, 2, 3. Today's 4. Today's the 4th day.
That makes sense. Y'all, look, we live on multiple platforms to include TikTok.
Tickety tockety.
If there's a like
Get
button
drop.
on the platform that you're on, do me a favor, mash that like button. All right, that helps us out on the algorithms. We're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, X, TikTok, and I feel like I'm forgetting one.
I don't know.
Oh, and we'll just say Perry Productions Facebook page as well. So shout out to the homie for allowing us to stream on his platform. Y'all, look, if I might be looking like I'm sitting uncomfortable, it's literally because I wasn't playing. I just had surgery, heart surgery, if you will, 4 days ago, like the math pointed out. And to be specific, I had an IC, subcutaneous ICD, I forgot what the I stood for. Implantable cardioverter defibrillator put in.
Yes.
And I'm on the road to recovery now. I want to thank this lady right here, y'all. She has been everything for me. She was my nurse, my driver, my chef, my healer, a lot of different things. So very publicly, even though I've told her thank you 10,000 times, and she told, her words were, "You don't have to thank me. Like, I'm your lady. I'm supposed to be doing this. But I do have to thank you. I want to make sure that you know that I really appreciate everything that you've done for me. So seriously, thank you. Very publicly, thank you. I've told you privately. I'm going to tell you publicly. People should know what you've done and how amazing that you've been, sacrificing sleep and things to ensure that I recover well. So thank you.
You're welcome, love.
We got Anastasia in the building. Said, "Hey, hope you're feeling better." First of all, Anastasia, thank you. Anastasia commented over on Twitch. I like when Twitch people check in.
I know, that's so sweet.
I am feeling better. It is this is the best day that I've had so far, because that first 2 days sucked. It sucked. I don't know if you can tell, like I'm a little bit swollen on this side because this is where it was put in at. And then she said that her husband's also had many heart surgeries in the last couple of years. Hey, you know what? Hope he's doing fine and hope he's doing well. Because you say many, that sounds like a lot. But as long as he's still here loving on you, then that's what counts. All right. Michelle.
Sir, yes, sir.
let's just jump right into it. First of all, this is the last Monday of January, right?
It is, yes. We have made it.
How's this month been for you so far?
This month has been pretty good. I'm gonna be honest. I think I was talking to our friend Whitney, and she asked me last month when we went over to visit her. She asked how I was feeling about the surgery, and I was like, "Well, here's the thing. I was so excited to be in the South for the holidays, but the downside of that coming meant that the surgery date was coming." And while I was at peace with the surgery, it was still just a lot of things that I couldn't control. So I didn't know how to focus on them. But we received a lot of prayer and support from our friends and our loved ones. And it was just amazing. And I truly, truly felt as though I was being carried and ushered through everything. So I didn't have to worry to an extent. So that felt really, really good. So how do I feel about January in general? The hardest part is over. So
Yeah, and I also want to thank the many people. Look, y'all, if I hadn't responded to you, it's just because I've chosen to rest and relax. But Michelle and I have felt the love. We felt the support. We had somebody that we both know come over a little bit prior to the show and politic it with us, so to speak.
that was so much fun.
Folks might not know what that means. Fellowship. Just hang out and chill for a bit. And also brought us both over something to eat. And
thank you. Like, if that person is watching, thank you so much.
Yep.
Truly appreciate it.
So we've had that. The many of phone calls. If I hadn't called you back yet, I'm gonna get back with you. The many of text messages, the Facebook posts, everything. We've seen it all. We've read it all. I've been slowly responding back to some people, but y'all, that's meant a lot, not just to me, but to her as well. So thank you. Now we're getting into January, and I told you earlier, I hope January and 2025 in general goes by as quick as it seemed like 2024 did. We did a lot in 2024, but you know the way that my memory works, I don't even really remember.
I'm going to be honest. Like, that's why I do these.
Yes.
Like, this is why I do this, so that we can remember what we did, because I don't remember. I don't remember.
Now, we set up today's topic by talking about something a little bit last week. Why don't you set us up for what we're going to get into today?
All right. So, this is the content of today's show is not meant to be political in any way, shape, or form, although it's going to appear as though it is. It's not. We did have an A and B choice about something, but it's not a political question. What happened was, as we know, former First Lady Michelle Obama did not attend the funeral of former President Jimmy Carter. And furthermore, not only did she not attend that, and she was the only spouse who didn't attend, the only living spouse who didn't attend, she also was not at the inauguration of our 47th president. And in seeing that, I made a comment to King, and I was like, yes, Michelle Obama just said for all the Black women that it's okay for us to say no. Like, it's okay for us to prioritize our mental health. And King felt some type of way about it. And I'm not saying he's right or wrong in his feeling, just saying he felt some type of way about that. And that brought me to the point where I was like, because he made the comment that, Michelle Obama left Barack Obama like all alone. And I'm thinking, something tells me that they had a big old conversation before that, and she wouldn't have done it if he wasn't okay with it. But then again, I don't know. We don't know. Again, we're not looking at the politics of that. We're not focusing on that in any way, shape, or form. But it did bring us to the question, if you can only choose one, do you stand by your man or do you protect your woman? So what that means is we went and we asked couples. So I'm not trying to be discriminatory, but we specifically went to couples. We asked people who were in a relationship, if you as a joint, because if you were married, if you were in a relationship, you have two people who have come together as one. So you have one vote, one decision to make. if you can only choose one, what are you choosing? Stand by your man or protect your woman? And we asked couples, and as the couple, they had to come to a consensus on one answer choice. It couldn't be, well, the guy's choosing this and the woman is choosing this. As a couple, they had to come to a conclusion together. And King, now that I set up the background for you, King is gonna like help us get into what some of those responses were.
All right. So for my people and the folks that I asked, again, we gave people no context initially.
Yeah, none. I just gave you way more than we gave people.
And a majority of people chose stand by your man.
The majority of his people chose stand by your man.
Now, I did have one couple come together and initially choose stand by your man. But once I gave them context as a couple, and I'm curious how they changed their mind, but as a couple, they changed their mind to protect your woman once we told them the context of what the question was about. And I found that to be interesting.
So I think I had one person do that as well, and it may have been like the other way around. So let me see. Of the responses that I sent you, so I had a woman who is married, and like again, that whole no context people. She's older than me. I don't know her age, but I do know she's older than me. She has 3 children. And her response was protect your woman. And again, this was a woman married for a long time. She says protect your woman. And she says that could be physically and emotionally, spiritually, mentally, all of that stuff. Protect your woman. I had another person, so a mutual friend of ours, say protect your woman. Again, married for a long time, several kids, all of that stuff. I had a woman who is younger than both of us who is in a long-term relationship. Like she's been in a relationship with her partner for I think like 7 or 8 years. Her response was protect your woman. I have someone who is married, another woman, who also said protect your woman. I have some, and then this is a joint one because one of them, the wife responded to me, but then the husband responded to you. And I think, did the husband change his answer? Okay, so what did the couple say as a joint?
As a joint, they landed on the protect your woman.
Okay.
As a joint.
So the reason why I wanted to highlight that is because so many people said protect your woman, because if you protect your woman and she feels protected, she will always stand by her man. And that's where a lot of people, it seemed like a lot of people were landing, like once they gave an explanation and stuff like that. That's where a lot of people landed.
Although I still didn't like that explanation, especially as it came to specific to what brought us to asking that question. Now, forever in history, you have a photo where this person is silent, and while they don't owe us an explanation, how do you address that? Right? You are going to leave it up to the public minds of everybody, because at one point he was the leader of the free world, being the president of the United States. And she and them, they projected those traditional values. So it's like, absent of an illness by her, which you can easily say, hey, my wife is dealing with an illness while she was also on vacation. So she's just going to extend her vacation. We send our condolences to the Carter family and, everything like that. They could have easily done that, but that didn't even happen. So it's like,
but that's where I'm like,
I look at it as trouble in paradise.
But that's where I'm like, it should not matter. Like, we saw the same thing happen with Kate Middleton. We saw the same thing happen with Meghan Markle. We saw the same thing happen with Princess Di. They don't owe us an explanation. They really don't. And I think, especially in Michelle Obama's case, and even technically in Lady Di's case, they're not the sitting woman. So it's like, it really doesn't matter. But I didn't want this to get too political because, especially in light of all the things that have happened in the last week, the last thing that I want are a slew of political comments coming this way.
But that's the thing. Even as we're talking about this, it's not even about politics, because as you finish, once you get done, I'm going to share a personal story that this exact same situation happened in my life.
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want it to become that, oh, Michelle Obama didn't do this. At the end of the day, she's not our first lady. It doesn't matter. Just because everyone else came, it doesn't matter. She's not our first lady. Just like if Princess Di did not go to something, it didn't matter. She was no longer the person at the helm of the throne, like at the helm of the throne. Like, it did not matter. Same thing with Meghan Markle. Mental health, like, that's the thing that I think people forget. Mental health is a big thing, and the more you were in the spotlight, the harder it is for you to be able to handle that mental health. And I applaud these women who are like, for my mental health, because I no longer have to be there. Like, there's a difference between choose and have to. Because I no longer have to be in these places, I'm not going to be in these places for my mental health. Like, because the last thing we need as a couple is for my mental health to deteriorate. Because if my mental health deteriorates, then I can't be anything for you. So you started this show by talking about the things that I've done for you this weekend, right? But how much of that, like, real talk, how much of that would I have been able to do if my mental health was oh, that's what it was. If my mental health was in a bad place?
Can you grab that actually? Because there are people, if they respond on TikTok, TikTok doesn't come up here, but I do want to be able to address anybody that might comment on TikTok, because we are live there. Now, before we get into it,
Mm-hmm.
let's say hi to Tarika. Tarika Smith is in the building. Said, I'm here, Queen, King, and Queen. And she chose stand by your manses.
Mm-hmm.
My pops, Larry Smith, is in the building. Said, hey, y'all. It's so great to see that you're doing so much better, son. Enjoying seeing y'all up and running. Thank you. Free T's in the building. We got a celebrity in the building. Said, hey, guys, glad to see you doing well, King. Hey, first of all, thank you, too. And Larry Smith is in the building. Said, for sure, always protect your woman. Show her much love, and she will give all to her man. And that is cool beans. And then beans again. Cool beans? I don't know how to read that, Pops. How you want me to do this?
Take it off the clip.
Take it off the clip completely.
And just hold it in
your hand. Take this off and just hold it in my hand. All right, yeah. So because of my ICD, I shouldn't have, I guess, magnets anywhere near my heart. So going forward, going to have to figure out how we're going to do our audio situation, because, yeah, that's a thing now. All right.
I feel like as long as y'all can still hear him for tonight, we'll just let this go.
Let this roll this way. Okay. And then Tarika asks how I'm feeling. Hey, look, I'm better. Like I said, like if I'm moving around, it's because I have some pain, but it's not as much pain as it was yesterday, right? You know, they got me on the good stuff, if you will. But I'm resting. I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing everything that I need to be doing. And that's pretty much all that anybody can ask for. And if I try and do too much, she's there to quickly go, King, stop. And she reminded me that I told her something when she had foot surgery to sit her behind down. And now I'm having to eat my own words.
Oh, it's so fun when that stuff comes back to bite you in the butt.
So let me get personal here, and I'm going to open y'all into my life. When I was married, my ex-wife had a grandparent that passed away. And we were going through it. And this grandparent passed away in Alabama. I was in Maryland, or we were in Maryland. And I didn't go to her while she had attended the funeral. Because I'm like, in my head, I said, how can I support you when I don't feel like you've been supporting this marriage? That's how I felt. I'm not going to speak for her. I'm speaking for what my thoughts were at the time. So I staunchly said, I ain't going. I'm not going. And there were several people that felt like I was wrong by not attending the funeral to support my wife while she was mourning the loss of her grandparent. Yet in my head, I'm like, why would I support her when she has not supported me? And it was just this circular thing of asking and answering that question. And that's what left me to go, I don't feel like I'm wrong in this situation. Why is it that something happens now all of a sudden I have to do this because this thing happened to you? No, I don't get it. You don't get it. The end. And that's when I knew that the marriage was likely done. It should have ended shortly after that. But that was a personal story that relates to this topic of protecting your woman versus standing by your man. I could have still done that where I went to that funeral with her. Our marriage still would have ended because the relationship and the respect and the love that we had was done at that point. So I didn't see no reason for going to support her when I guess I knew in the end it wasn't going to last.
Okay. And that's fair, but I think so often we interject our own feelings into the grand scheme of things that are happening in other people's lives. And we think that because XYZ situation happened to us, that must be what's going on with them. Like, I personally, I don't know them, so I can't assume that there's something going on in their relationship. All I can say is a form of supporting the woman that you are with is understanding that there are some things that she just can't emotionally attend, that she just can't go to. And I see a lot of, and it's kind of torn because I do want to add that I did have a male respondent who said, stand by your woman.
Same.
So I'm sorry, not saying by your woman, support your woman. And the thing about that is, I think that's so true. Women are nurturers by nature. Like, women do have the ability to take something and multiply it. So if you pour support into your woman, you support her in things, she will turn around and stand by you. Most, let me not do all, you know how I don't like generalizations. Most will turn around and still support their man and make sure that their man has everything. I go back to the example of me and you. So we know that mental health is something that I battled for a really, really long time. And if I weren't in a mentally secure place to be able to, one, be in this relationship, or two, even remotely think about taking care of you, this weekend would not have been able to happen.
Nope.
Because I would have been too consumed in my own things to even, be able to care for you. And the thing is, you knew that going into this surgery, which is why you tried to take so much off of my plate. You tried to say, hey, friends and family, Michelle's going to post something on socials. Pay attention to it there. Don't text her and don't call her because that's going to be overwhelming for her. You did that. Like, that was exactly what we're talking about. You supported me, and then I was able to stand by my man. And I think that's what so many of the respondents were saying when they were saying support your woman, because you doing that, you putting that message out there took a lot off of my plate, mentally, physically, emotionally, and that created the space for me to be able to pour into you, for me to be able to sit by your bedside, to prepare meals, to be your nurse, to be your friend, to be your confidant, and everything else this weekend, because you took that one thing off of my plate by telling everyone, hey, so Michelle's not overwhelmed. Please just pay attention to social media so that she doesn't have to individually message people, because that's going to be too much. Like, she can't take care of me and respond to every single post that comes her way at the same time.
Now, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to say that because, while again, they don't owe anybody anything, but because they didn't come back and say nothing, and I'm going to raise my hand and say I've personally lived what I believe to be about 80% of the same thing that happened with them, I don't think that their relationship and that I think that their marriage is done.
So it's
I
funny
think
that
that
you
the
say that.
Obamas is done.
It's funny that you say that. I looked up like the statistics of how many presidents have been divorced. Now, granted, I only looked up presidents who have been divorced, not former presidents who have been divorced. But historically, there was only one divorcee president. Only one, Reagan. There were
Reagan
two who came in
having
as having being widowers.
Yes.
And then they came in with a second wife, but there were none who came in divorced. Well, I guess prior to President Trump, there was only one. So now there are two that are doing that. So let me look and see. That says while in office.
I don't think there's been any that have divorced after their presidency.
So
Obama would be the first one.
So that's my point in saying they wouldn't publicize it. Something like that we would never know the truth about.
Oh, we know. We know.
The thing is, you say that and you assume that because you're projecting your own things that you've been through into that.
I'm confident enough to very publicly have it on wax because I've seen what that looks like and I know what that looks like to know that it's going to happen.
And see, that's where I disagree. And Freeze he is like, what couple are we talking about? We're talking about President 44 and his wife, former President Barack and former First Lady Michelle Obama. That's the couple that we're talking about. King says that because she didn't show up King believes that because she didn't show up at Carter's funeral or at the inauguration, that there's trouble in paradise. Whereas I believe a Black woman needed a mental health day and took two. And I'm just like, we thought the same thing. Like, we all thought the same thing about the Trumps, especially when they didn't go to Biden's inauguration.
I didn't. I just knew that they were stubborn.
And when considering the fact that she looks like, and I don't say this lightly, she looks like she's been kidnapped and held hostage in every single public photo she has ever taken with this man.
That's also most people that come from where she come from. The women aren't smiley faced women from their countries. They got this.
But you're the first lady. No.
Looks like
go back.
You don't know if they're mad or what.
Go back several episodes in our show. You're first lady. There's some things you got to do, and smiling on the job is one of those things. It doesn't matter how you feel. That's one of them things that you have to do in etiquette class. You are the first lady of the country. I don't care how you've been raised. This is what the job duty entails. You were supposed to smile. You're supposed to host the Easter roll. You were supposed to be changing all the linens. Like, there's literally a whole list of what the First Lady of the United States is supposed to do. And even though it's not written on there, it's implied you're supposed to smile while you do your job. You were not supposed to do an awkward, come give me a kiss.
I can't lean forward like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can't lean forward. My bad.
It's all good, babe.
So you're not supposed to do, okay. That's not how you kiss your husband on inauguration night. Like, come on. So there are those things that I'm just like, that looks way more sketchy. Way, way, way more sketchy. But even in that, like, at this point, once you have someone who's been at the helm, there is no such thing as a divorce. Like, that's your person for life. Till death do you part.
I want you to keep that next point in mind. And we do want to give some more acknowledgement. Shout out to Pete. Pete's in the building. Said, oops, my bad. I didn't mean to bother you with my text. Hey, brother, you're solid. You're good, man. You know, we just wanted a center point of contact to where neither her nor me were overwhelmed. And I feel fortunate enough to have a lot of family and friends that did care enough to want to check up, right? There are some people that they don't have that. They don't have people that love and support them like that, to where, you know, they might only get one or two calls. And that's because they don't have that many people that love and support them that same way. So I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to have as many people care. So that's why we stuck to just saying, hey, we are going to post on social media, and that's it. But we have seen the calls and text, so we just wanted to say thank you. So my pop said, yes, the woman is the weaker vessel, so therefore protect her, and the man will have equal support no matter what. I bet you. Free T says, oh, okay. You've been seeing the rumors that the Obama... I've been seeing the rumors that the Obamas are done. Let me see.
She says she's been seeing rumors.
Yeah.
So she's agreeing with
I went back and read it to where she said, yeah, I've been seeing the rumors that the Obamas have done. And I think we've got somebody on TikTok. What is this? Okay, no, nothing on TikTok per se, but We do have people on TikTok watching. That's dope. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, if I'm wrong, look, I hope I'm wrong. I never proclaim to always be right. Yet, King Stradamus, when I make a King Stradamus prediction, when I say King Stradamus predicts, I want to say I'm 100% on point. And King Stradamus is predicting that their marriage is done. And that right there is going to highlight a lot of different things. If they were already known for being attacked just for existing, right? Because you don't hear the same things that people levied at the Obamas and their family. You heard less being levied against our current president, yet he's done the more scandalous things ever. And it's hard to ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Free T said, honestly, I don't wish them bad, but if they do divorce, hopefully people will take public relationships off of a pedestal. And that's why I kind of wanted to highlight that part too.
I agree.
They were the example of a one marriage, same mom and dad of their children, family, that people were like, oh, I want that Michelle and Obama love, right? I think that there was a song or two that even had those kind of lyrics in it, where it was like, having the loves like the Obamas. And I'm just like,
Alicia Keys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see that end, to which Michelle says, okay, King, I'll go down that path with you. If it happens, it won't be public. I don't think that they're that big enough to where they can go the rest of their lives and it not be public. Mm-hmm. If it were to happen, it would be public information, especially if one of them wants to remarry somewhere down in the future. Which, if you look the way that people are treating marriages, they're treating marriages like blockbuster video rentals.
Rewind.
It is literally going to make people go, what's the point? What's the point? If the Obamas couldn't make it work, then especially in people of color households, mm-hmm. right? That's really going to be one of the major talking points, to where they're going to go, if they couldn't make it work, what's the point? What do you think about that?
So then I also look at it and I say this. It's different. The more spotlight you have on a relationship,
I agree,
the harder it is.
I agree.
Which is why, to be honest, so many people didn't necessarily want us doing a podcast like this, because it is a lot. But that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Free T. That's exactly what I'm saying. I am sorry, but there are going to be moments in my life where I'm going to have to choose my mental health over pleasing everyone in the general public. And as long as my man is okay with that, with my absence, if it's something for you, as long as you're okay with that, then I don't owe anyone else an explanation.
But if you are in a position like that and you're asked, you should address it. She needed a mental health day, and I support that.
But did anyone ask?
Yes, people were at, yes. He has been asked directly. She has been asked directly, and they have not responded.
Mm. All I can say is it was also her birthday. It was around the time of her birthday.
And history has a photo that just simply doesn't look good. Historically, it doesn't look good.
Mm. So I decided to Google, and this is why I should never turn to Google. I see Google rumors and everything like that, and I don't want to say it here to give credence or to give space for that, because it's just that, a rumor, and I don't want to spread rumors, but I'm just saying, if you Google it yourself, you'll see that there are a lot of rumors that are circulating about that, about an alleged reason as to why it could be happening.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff.
That's wild. When I read that, he's alleged to be linked with, you just kind of go, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because certain rumors start from certain things. And like, it's not like I would sit here and go, man, so I was down in Florida and I saw Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston being real cozy. And I'm just like, if I say that in a barbershop, that in itself won't necessarily take off. But something would have had to happen somewhere for a lot more people to catch on it, especially because of who he is. That's all I'm saying.
You weren't supposed to say the name.
Oh, I didn't know that we was protecting things.
We're not spreading rumors on the show.
We're not spreading rumors.
But you just said the rumor that's being spread.
I was giving an example of what a rumor could be.
You literally just spread the
rumor. Free T said, I don't think she was choosing mental health. I think they were into it. I'm telling you, Free T is on the same frequency that I'm on. I think they were into it. She could have been there and she told him flat out, I ain't going. And he just, what can he do at that point? Nothing. And left him out to dry.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying, Free T. Like, you weren't supposed to say the name.
Oh, all right. So.
It's okay. It's okay. But I do agree with what Free T said, that we need to stop putting people on a pedestal. I don't care who it is. That's part of the issue now. We think everyone is above human, being a human and human nature and going through things. And we need to stop thinking that. When they were in office, it's like, oh, you know, that's Auntie Michelle and Uncle Barry and like all this other stuff. Like, I want a marriage like theirs. You don't know what it takes. I look at that and I equate that to how when Sierra first got Russell Wilson, everyone was like, well, what prayer does Sierra pray to be able to get her man? Because I want to be able to utter that same prayer. And it's like, you see a couple together and you don't see any of the bad stuff. Now, granted, a good publicist is going to make sure you don't see any of the bad stuff, but you do also have to understand that there is bad stuff. And you can't say, I want to be like XYZ. You have to want to be like you and you in a relationship. And it starts with making that decision of, as a couple, like, again, communication. Have you had that communication with your partner to decide which one of these is more important?
I agree. Free T said, it's like when married family members show up to Thanksgiving without their spouse, you already know they argued at home.
Is it just me? And I'm just like, there's some things that I may not show up to, and it's not for any other reason than I just don't feel like dealing with people. Like, am I the only one who does that? Like, I legit take mental health moments where I should be at places, and I'm like, nah, the way my mental health set up today, I ain't going. Like, am I the only one who does that?
I'm telling you, you're not the only one yet. Let's get into it.
Because what's worse, you showing up without me, or neither one of us showing up and then rumors really speculating?
Showing up without worse, in my opinion. If we both don't show up, then either that can more say that we're supportive of each other. Yet, if you can't come on one accord about showing up for a family function, then you've got problems. Like, for example, I would always like to go places and leave when I was ready to leave. Mm-hmm. I don't like to, if it's known beforehand, hey, I can only give you 2 hours, but I'm tired. I do want to show up, but I can only give you 2 hours. And we talked about that beforehand. Then that's one thing. But to show up and then an hour after we there, you then kind of tap me and say, hey, babe, I got an hour max and then I need to go. I'd be like, well, why did you show up then? Why are we here? Why are you here?
Okay. So I hear that and I'm like, that makes sense. But then I'm also like, there are times where my adrenaline comes and goes. So, prime example, Thursday, I was running off of adrenaline. Like, Anxiety sometimes causes a lot of adrenaline to push through, and I feel like I can do anything. And then I had moments where I had to sit down and the adrenaline started fading and I was crashing. So for every little thing, it was I have less ability to be able to do any of this because what was propelling me is slowly dissipating. It's going away fast. And sometimes that can happen. Like you can go to a party with good intentions, and then by the time you get there and you're just sitting there, especially if like the energy is off in there, not for any like bad reason, but it's just off, my energy level may quickly deplete versus a slow, steady release of being able to do it. And like, I couldn't have seen that coming. It just happens.
Now, I know we've talked about it before, but let's bring this more personal to us in that you're a minister. And we talked about it on, I want to say maybe our last live stream, where I'm not religious.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, right, if you are the spouse or significant other of somebody who's a minister, culturally, you attend service in which they are leading the service. Am I saying that as clean as I can?
Leading, participating in, doing something. Yeah.
Okay. So I had said that initially before her and I became an item full time, that I could see that being a problem, and that if that was going to be a problem, that we couldn't have a relationship because just because she's going to be ministering something, King's not going to be there.
And see, this is why I'm like, I don't like rumors being spread because, you know how you interjected your personal feelings. This is something that I have had people well, ask me or have rumors about on their own without including me. Like, oh, well, Michelle's preaching, or in that moment, Minister R.E.A.L's preaching. How comes King isn't here? Like, we see King all over social media, but when she stands up to preach, he's never here. It must not be okay in their relationship. Like something must be wrong. And I'm like, nothing's wrong. It's just that's something we've already agreed to. And that's why when I looked at her absence, I was just like, I can give grace because King does not show up every time I preach. So that doesn't mean that there's something wrong between us. That just means he's not going to come.
Right. Also, let's add to it, that can easily be explained if asked, right? And I don't have no problem saying that if asked. Like, let's say if we're out, and this is a complete hypothetical.
Love her.
If if you and I go out and let's say we meet some of your like the minister's staff. I don't know how to say that.
Ministerial staff.
Like, yeah. So like let's say we're all at a function together. And let's say it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an issue saying, well, hey, to everybody here, I don't mean to disrespect anybody. I'm not a religious person. Michelle knew that going into the relationship, and that's just not something that I do. That's how I would say that. And they're hearing it from me, right? Or hearing it from us. So if anybody were to directly ask us, we don't have an issue stating our why. Because Michelle and Barack dodged it and they haven't addressed it.
But see, then that's where I kick in with but is it your business? In our situation, but like, is it your business?
Not really yet. Again, we're talking about cultural stuff. Culturally,
I don't care about culturally. I'm flat out asking, but is it your business as to why King is not here? So if you're going to hit me with culturally, the spouse is supposed to be there when the person's preaching, I'm going to table that.
Okay.
If you're going to hit me with but it gives the appearance of unity, I'm going to table that.
Okay.
What was something else that someone would say? Oh, it was right there on the tip of my tongue and I can't think of it. And the reason why I table those is because someone could people who are in DV relationships, they show up places with a smile on their face, and that does not mean that they go home to sunshine and roses, right? So just because I can smile in a moment doesn't mean something's good. And just because I'm at an event absent my partner doesn't mean something is bad. Like, that's how I choose to look at it. I also fall back on but is it your business though? Like, your thought and your opinion, is it going to put food on my table? And that goes right back to what Free T was saying, that we got to stop putting people on the pedestal, her earlier comment.
Okay.
That we got to stop putting people on a pedestal, because when people, especially, and we do see this a lot in the church, it's not the black church, it's not the white church, it's not the Christian church, I'm including mosque and synagogue and every other house of worship. In the house of worship, we put people on a pedestal, realizing that although this person may have been called and ordained by God, they are still humans on earth. They are still humans and they are still flawed. We are all still, none of us are perfect. So when you put these people on a pedestal, you're setting yourself up for failure. I'm not disappointing you. You are being let down by your own expectations of me, and your expectations of me ain't got nothing to do with me. That's an internal issue that you have to take out with yourself. Like, don't think that because I have this earthly title that I am supposed to be this big ball of perfection. And when I don't live up to what you perceive my level of perfection should be, that there's a problem with me and that there's something going on that I need to modify. No, my dear, no, that's not how this works. I'm human just like you're human, and my title does not make me any better or worse than you.
So, Michelle, I am the former president
Oh my God.
of the United States. Every other spouse that is alive will be attending President Carter's funeral. I, as the former president of the United States, need you, Michelle, by my side as we very publicly attend this thing together to show strength and unity. What say you, baby?
You August 4th people are a whole entire trip. Okay? A whole entire trip. Whole entire trip.
Me and Barry got the same birthday, y'all. Same month and year anyway. Month and day.
And then me and Michelle got the same first name and middle initial of L. Same
Really?
spelling too. Yeah. Her middle name is Levon.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Michelle Levon Robinson Obama.
Dope. So,
look, all I'm saying is, again, going back to what Free T said, you don't owe the world an explanation. At the end of the day, the title of today's message, which I feel like we touched on, and then we went all the way to a different segment. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the couple. It's the relationship. And the issue is, no matter how public we make people make their relationship or how private they make it, at the end of the day, it's still just the two of them. And the moment that more than two are in it, that's where problems begin.
yeah, because look, I mean, just saying that, us having this live stream where we're talking about dating and relationships, like that's the crux of that's the crux of what the King and Me show is about. We're here to offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. We're inviting people into our space as well, right? Mm-hmm. And you and I also talked about this well beforehand. We said, hey, if we can't do this to where we can do it, but it affects us, then we don't need to have the live stream. The relationship's more important.
Always.
So, my goal, and I'm speaking for myself, not for us or for you, is to be as transparent, as possible. And look, the thoughts that I have and that I express are those of my own.
So you said that in your explanation of that. Here's what I hear. That if we, for whatever reason, if you and I make the decision that we are not going to continue the show, we don't owe anyone an explanation for that.
Oh, I disagree. I think it would be best if we did.
Well, I'm not saying whether we should or shouldn't. I'm saying we don't owe.
You're right, but And I don't like saying that.
I'm not saying we wouldn't give an explanation. That's not what I'm saying, because that's who you and I are as people. We would give an explanation. I don't feel we owe it to people.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel like it's well, I've been watching you every night, every Monday night at 7. If you're going to cancel your show, you need to tell. I don't think it's owed. I think it's the polite thing to do, but I don't think it's owed. I don't think it's mandatory. And that's where I get crossed up sometimes. The difference between what is the courteous thing to do, what is the kind thing to do, versus what is the obligatory thing to do. And for me, those two very seldom align with one another. I don't owe anyone an explanation except for God for anything that I do. I don't owe anyone an explanation. No is a complete sentence.
Look,
Freezy is living up to her name, okay?
We definitely would want to know what happened. Laughing my butt off. Give us all the tea.
But that's who I am as a person. Again, it took me decades to get to the point where I'm just like, you know what? People are going to have their own expectations of me, and it is not my responsibility to live up to them or not. Like, it is not my responsibility to live up to the pedestal that you have placed me in your mind. One of the biggest things that I struggled with, and I accepted my call to ministry for real, in 2018. I have to make that distinction. In 2018. And one of the things that even now in 2025 that I struggle with is being introduced or having to introduce myself as Minister R.E.A.L or Minister Michelle or something like that. I'm like, I say something that one of the reverends who used to be at the church, something that she used to say. I'd be like, well, what do you want me to call you? She was like, my mama named me, fill in the blank with her name. I don't want to call her out. She said, my mama named me this. And the first couple of times she said that, it took me a while to adjust to it. But then I was like, facts. Like, my mama named me Michelle. As long as it's not me talking to like a little kid who's Southern, where we have to put some sort of title into it. My name is Michelle. That's what my mama named me. That's what I would like you to call me. I don't need you to put, oh, here we go.
My mama didn't name me King, y'all. That was not the name that Miss Smith gave me on my birth certificate. No, it wasn't. That is what I pay my taxes as currently.
Well, that's different. You legally changed your name, but you know what I'm saying? Like, my name is Michelle. The titles are man-made, man-given. And you know that they are, because they differ based on what religion you identify with, what church you go to. Like, at one church, you know, at my church, I'm a minister, right? At other churches, the same exact role could have the title of assistant pastor or assistant to the pastor in the XYZ. Like, it could be the exact same thing with so many different titles. And that's why I'm just like, I'm not title heavy.
Okay.
I'm not.
So
I believe in building my resume, but I'm not title heavy.
So in this relationship, I am your mancesis, first mancesis, head of household mancesis, all the mancesis. King Smith. Yes.
Yes.
I have all of those titles.
Yes, you do.
Is that what we are agreeing to?
It depends, because I feel like you're about to set me up for something. So I feel like I'm about to walk into something. So
no.
I'm going to say it depends, but
I wasn't going to set you up for anything.
Sure?
I was going to say, then what is your title with me? I was going to ask you, like, what's your title with me?
Who am I to you?
What are we? Yep. If you are giving yourself titles, what are your title in this relationship? That's all I was going to ask you. I'm all right with mancesis.
How would I? Okay, so I get that.
Ooh.
What would I say?
While you're thinking about this, y'all want to know kind of, I'm not going to say it's awkward, but it's always interesting. Because of how we love on each other, people assume that we're husband and wife. And when we were at Johns Hopkins, right, they would ask you, you know, who this person is. But there were several times where we were just being talked to that people would say, your wife or your husband.
Yeah.
And we've gotten it so much that we don't correct people at all. because to me it takes more to correct than to just let it flow. So that's just what we do now. But I find that interesting.
I would say that in this relationship, I am your woman, your biggest supporter, the person who makes sure that you have everything that you need in order to be successful. I am the caregiver. I am the ultimate nurse because, I did get my certification online at wikipedia.com. So, and, what is it? Med docs or something like that, whatever. Like, I got my certification there. I am also whatever. I am the head concierge. I am the domestic engineer. Sidebar. I'm sorry. I had to pause right here and jump in. So I think it was Thursday. I was talking to my students, and we just started a new semester, so I have a new set of kids. And for whatever reason, I got on the topic of resumes really quickly. And I was like, one thing you'll learn about me is we're going to find a way to boost your resume. And I was like, I understand most of y'all kids in here have never had a job or anything like that. But if you do chores at home, let me tell you, when we get to that point of your resume is fitting to say domestic engineer. And them kids looked at me and were like, huh? And I was like, honey, domestic meaning home, engineer meaning you take care of, you manage, you build, you construct. When you do them dishes in your house, you are a domestic engineer.
Uh-huh.
Those kids, their faces brighten.
Nice.
But that is the title that I wear proudly, domestic engineer. Head chef, head pastry chef.
And speaking of, great job, chef, for the pastries and everything today. Y'all, she made my meals for the entire week. I'm straight, to include baking stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Because I like bacon. I'm an oven person. I am not that cook who's like, let me stand over the kitchen stove. Like, that is not me. And I'm not knocking anyone who does, but that's not me as a person. Let me put something in the oven so that I can do 75 other things while this one thing is in the oven. That's how I prefer to prepare meals. But I would say I'm all of that.
And to y'all, she's good. She's good because she's speaking to me, not to y'all. She just said everything to me that I like. She publicly said it, but also that was for me because she knows that that's what I like and that those are the things that like attract me to her. So if you're trying to get your manses, speak to your man. Know what it is that he likes, right? Because I don't care what Michelle did for anybody else. She shouldn't care about what I've done for anybody else. What do we do for each other? That's what matters. What am I going to do for her? That's what matters. Any past thing really does not matter. It's what are you doing for us? What are you doing for this thing? Now, there were some comments there that I do want to highlight. Free T said wife, because at this point, it is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Pete said, is it Michelle's title of future wife? I mean, right now, the current title is
everything else that
everything
you said.
else.
I'm gonna put that on the letterhead.
Pete said, serious question. Why did I change my name to King? The short version of the story, people don't know it, but I stutter. I have a speech impediment. Some days are bad. Most days are good. My born name, I'll say it. It was Aaron Tyler Anthony Smith. 2 A's, Aaron, Aaron. And A's are one of those things that are struggle stutter letters for me. I'm a covert stutterer. But I have many pauses and things that sometimes it takes me, I have to reuse a word to say an alternative word for a letter that I can't say or a word that I can't say. And it got bad to where, I was in business school going through an intern position, yada, yada, where I had to speak my name and you were always constantly introducing yourself. I got to the point to where if I got away with saying I'm Mr. Smith and people didn't ask me for my first name, I was okay. But then they go, okay, Mr. Smith, what's your first name? I would sometimes say Tyler, and I never go by Tyler because I couldn't say Aaron. Eventually, I just got tired of that. That's the short version of it. There's a much longer version that the next time that me and you hang out in person, Pete, I'll tell you the full story. But that's the short version of it. One day in class, I had to get introduced to somebody very publicly, and very publicly, I could not say my own first name. And 2 days later, I went down to the courthouse to change it. So that's how that went down. But there is a lot more that goes into why I changed my name. And I chose King because I wanted a very strong name. I wanted something that was going to stand out, but I didn't want anything too crazy like Kevion Tavius or anything like that. I wanted something that was simple but also stood out, and I thought King was a name that stood out. I already had a daughter named Castle, so why not? My nickname in high school was also Prince, and I was originally going to go with Prince Smith. And literally, as I was about to write down the P, I changed the P to a K and just went with King. That was the thought process behind what name to choose as well.
I'm glad you shared that story because I don't think a lot of people knew that.
Nope.
Both aspects of it, the stutter and the fact that that was one of the things that prompted you to change your name.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. P said, so when I open my restaurant, Michelle, you can be his pastry chef. As long as it comes with a bonus and royalties, I think we can talk. Yeah.
I learned something. I did learn something. If you were in a pinch and you, for whatever reason, don't happen to have vanilla extract, you can use lemon extract as long as someone's not allergic to it. I didn't. So, like, the recipe called for 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And because I didn't have vanilla and because it technically wasn't my extract, I only used 1 teaspoon of lemon extract. So it does definitely give that lemony flavor. And I can tell that the vanilla would have given it more of like a sweet thing. But something about it being lemon and then it was already a blueberry muffin, I feel like in my head, because you can't get rid of the fact that it does have sugar in it, in my head it's healthier. It's fruitier.
You know, I took the first bite and I was like, this combination works. It just works. So
yes,
we are coming up on the end of our live stream. I don't think people fully understand where we stood on this question.
Oh, I was about to say, where do we stand on this?
As a couple,
stand by your man or protect your woman?
So let's do this. Why don't we do 1, 2, 3, and then say our answer?
So funny thing is, like, I already know we're gonna disagree.
We don't know. We don't know. So let's see where we stand. So it's 1, 2, 3, then say the answer. Okay.
So we're saying it on 3 or after you say 3?
After 3 is said.
Okay. After 3 is said. Okay. Right. So you'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we say it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just making sure.
All right. 1.
Are we saying like the full thing? So like, if someone's going to say stand by your man, you're going to say stand by your man. And if someone is going to say protect your woman, you're going to say the whole protect your woman. We're not just saying like man, woman thing.
Correct.
We're going to say
the whole thing.
Okay. So it's 1, 2, 3, then the whole thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Bet. I'm here.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Stand by your man. I thought we would be different. I'm actually surprised. I really am. I'm going to say I'm surprised. I felt like with the conversation that we've had with when we asked the other couples, all of the follow-up that we've had as well, I felt like I would be stand by your man and that you would be protect your woman. I have to say I'm shocked. I don't even know what to do right now. I don't know what to say.
I'm actually quite shocked myself.
Why do you say that?
Because the words just kind of flew out. And I'm not saying like it just randomly came out and I don't support it, but that was definitely one of those subconscious things. I don't know how to explain it. It is just kind of what came out.
Okay.
What I will say is this, and I feel like there's a subtle nuance of, unfortunately, it may vary relationship to relationship.
So, Free Teachers asked a good question. Why can't it be both?
The reality is it could.
The reality
it very
is,
well could be.
Yes.
We were being petty.
We were being petty.
And we just said you can only choose one.
And we thought that this would be at least a good discussion point, because let's talk about it. The depth of what we're asking for and what we were talking about requires one of the tenets that we always say makes an excellent relationship work well, and that's communication. So what is communicated between here and here, right? We talk about a lot of the stuff that we feel online, but we also have like our private conversations that's just between her and I as well. And it's just to ensure that we have an understanding about how this relationship is flowing. We're checking in, making sure that everything's good between one another, but we're communicating. So in reality, yes, it is going to be a mixture of whatever that works for y'all's relationship.
And I think that that's something to consider, Freety. It can be both. But if two people are trying to walk through a door, only one person is going to walk through first, even if both people eventually go through the door. So which one walks through the door first? Is it stand by your man that comes first and then protect your woman? Or is it protect your woman and then stand by your man? I think that was more of the why we said it could only be one or the other, because one has to come first. And that's just kind of like where I stood on it. And don't get me wrong, the reason why I say I think it depends on you and it depends on your relationship is because I don't think I would have said that answer at any other point in my life. But
interesting.
Knowing you and having been through what we've been through, to be able to get here, I look at us and I'm like, you do protect me. So if I had to choose which one is going to happen right now, you already do protect me. So stand by you.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that is our live stream for today. I want to thank y'all for being able to rock with me while I sit here and adjust myself throughout this last hour. I'm about to go do some more of what I was doing all day, and that was rest and relax,
which is sleep.
And that's what I'm going to be doing the rest of this week as well. Again, to everybody that called, texted, sent the message, whatever, seriously, y'all, thank you. To my lady, you could not have been any more of anything for what you were for me over the last couple of days. So seriously, thank you.
Welcome.
Boom. All right, y'all. We're going to end our show the way that we normally end it, but since I'm kind of restricted on movement, she's going to have to bring them lips over here.
I have to come to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Come here.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.